We are here to talk about the
There it is.
1962 Florida Gators baseball team.
Yep.
With my grandfather, Tom Moore, the selected All-American for the team, as I hear it. You guys were the #1 team in the nation at the end of the regular season. And
Yes,
as
we
I
were.
understand, you were the first University of Florida team in any sport to be ranked #1 in the country.
And it was in our scrapbooks, which we all saw during the reunion, and the athletic director was there, and they talked about confirming that, which they did. They had a guy named Norm Carlson. I think Norm was the one that went back and said, yeah, historically they couldn't find that there had been any other University of Florida team in any sport that was #1 in the nation until the '62 Gator baseball team.
A scrappy team who got by on stealing bases
We
and
had
getting on base.
A lot of little guys that
Yes,
could run.
Yes, home
We
run.
were not famous for home runs.
Yes, that was not your MO. And you also led the NCAA in stolen bases that year.
Oh, I had the most stolen bases, I think, in '62 and '63. But I was a leadoff batter for the Gators, and I did lead the Gators and the SEC in stolen bases, I think. And that the University of Florida team, the '62 team, did lead the nation in total stolen bases easily. We really had more stolen bases than any other team in the nation.
Although that number is disputed because official records say 105 in 35 games, while the newspaper accounts say 108 stolen bases in only 33 games.
I did see that, and somebody needs to check that out.
Yeah, I don't know where you'd go to get all that information.
But I think even using the, was it 105 and 35 games, 105 and 35 games.
That still led the
That's
nation.
3.0 per game.
Yes.
And that would be the most of any University of Florida team still through this year.
Yes.
And
Tell me about Coach Fuller's two-platoon system.
Coach Fuller would want 2 people at each position, one a left-handed batter and one a right-handed batter. And so Earl was right-handed, so he faced the left-handed pitchers, and Carroll said, yep, and all I got to do is face the right-handed pitchers. And that's it. You didn't get to
But
play.
basically, in baseball, beyond just Coach Fuller, there was this belief that right-handed batters had to hit against left-handed pitchers and vice versa.
Exactly.
And that was the only way. That was the best way to do it. It was the only way that worked properly.
They still believe that in baseball today.
Yes.
And I guess statistically there's some validation of that theory.
But that was essentially the idea and still is today.
Both, yeah. And I did have a higher batting average against left-handed pitchers than right-handed pitchers, which, you know, I think my dad and I attributed to the fact that every time I came up against a left-handed pitcher, I said, I have got to hit this
You were
guy.
determined,
Prove
yes.
that is just, this theory
It's a myth.
is not true. And so I did have my batting average that my dad kept. My sophomore year at Florida, I never got to face left-handed pitching. I was 2 platoon like everybody else, so I didn't play all the games my sophomore year. So in January of '62, I went to Coach Fuller in his office and begged him to let me face left-handed pitchers. And he said, well, we'll give it a try during the inter-squad games. And I did hit our left-handed pitchers during the inter-squad games. He said, well, we'll see how that goes. Well, I never got 2 platoon my junior or my senior year. I played every inning of every game my junior and senior year. I knew that I would never have been an All-American and recognized as an All-American baseball player, but for the terrific team that we had, that we were a good enough team and had a University of Florida athletic department organization that knew how to, you know, promote somebody that they chose to promote as the one to be an All-American. And I mean, I was just barely ahead of teammates in a couple of different categories, and yet the University of Florida's 1962 baseball team deserved to have an All-American.
Absolutely.
And I happened to be it. And
you happened to win it by, you know, a small margin.
And
it wasn't.
It wouldn't have happened except for being part of a terrific team.
Absolutely. You guys accomplished a lot of things. You're a very special team. I feel like for all of UF, but growing up, I've always thought of you as this awesome lawyer who did all these great environmental things and did all these awesome other things. It was really cool to see that side where you were this amazing athlete, one of the best of all time at the University of Florida. Even on a team with stars, you were the one who shined through.
Matt, thanks. I know you mean that, and you did get to see those teammates and see that we were excited about the same things about that wonderful team, and I
Yes.
do accept that I would not have been an All-American except for the fact that we had such a terrific team.
Right.
And it could have been one of those guys instead of me if they got to play every inning of every game instead of being two platoon.
But once again,
And,
that's your perseverance and your determination.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today.
That's a pleasure.
This is the overview of the 1962 Florida Gators baseball team with Tom Moore, the All-American. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I love you as a grandson and appreciate your thoughts, and I'm glad that you were part of that reunion.
Absolutely. Love you too.